Story 1. Publicly sharing every detail of one's personal life on social media feels invasive to me. However, for many, it is a normal part of staying connected or building a brand. Story 2. I'm going to be honest, I think humiliating your partner is honestly just weird and toxic. Story 3. Coughing without covering your mouth or blowing your nose, and then not immediately sanitizing your hands before touching public surfaces. Story 4. Daddy, what you do in your time is your business. I just wish some things were still private. Story 5. Leaving the toilet seat up and then flushing causes droplets of feces and urine to spread around, which is unhygienic. You can check the walls around the toilet to see the evidence. Story 6. Touching other people's phones is not acceptable. I know you take that device to the bathroom, and I do not want any part of it. Story 7. People who put on baby voices, do not be weird. You are a grown adult. Story 8. Coughing or sneezing into your hand is unpleasant. It is especially concerning when you touch something else afterward without washing your hands. This behavior is unhygienic. Story 9. I am willing to perform oral sex on a woman, but I do not engage in analingus due to concerns about hygiene. Story 10. Lotion or conditioner-like substances under my nails and extremely detailed objects, especially those with many porous features, such as the inside of a bell pepper or the inside of a beehive. Story 11. I am terrified of public swimming pools. I honestly cannot remember the last time I was willing to get in one. I have seen some of the most vile things happen in public swimming pools, and there is not enough chlorine in the world to make me feel okay with it. Story 12. When someone offers me their earphones, I feel like they are saying, "Hey, do you want some of my earwax?" It is so disgusting. And then they say, "Why not? My ear is clean. I do not care. That thing has sweat, dead cells, and it is inside your body." Story 13. Cheese. I despise everything about it. Taste, texture, and smell. I cannot understand how it is a beloved food for nearly everyone. Story 14. Eyes. I cannot believe we all have two slimy spheres just chilling in our heads. If I think about it too hard, I will get grossed out. Story 15. Social media platforms include Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and others. Story 16. Brazilian butt lifts, especially those that do not remotely match the person's body frame. So vulgar. Story 17. Spitting on the ground. Why do people do this? At least find a bush or something. Another thing. People letting dogs lick them in the face. Story 18. Childhood obesity is child abuse. I strongly stand by this belief. Story 19. I find people with a foot fetish absolutely disgusting. Story 20. Society focuses on things that do not matter while completely ignoring what does. How they treat marginalized communities. Story 21. Touching feet and sucking on toes, whether as foreplay or not. Story 22. Kissing any family member on the mouth who is not your significant other is not appropriate. Please kiss on the cheeks only. Story 23. Licking fingers and going right back to the keyboard while in the office. Story 24. Not masking, especially when coupled with repeated coughing and excuses such as, "It's just allergies," "It's just dry," or "It's just because I smoke." Story 25. Tinder casual encounters. Grindr casual encounters. I just do not understand the appeal and find it somewhat repulsive. Not judging morally, I just do not get it. Story 26. Touching the bottom of your feet after being barefoot, such as fresh out of the shower, is fine. However, it grosses me out when people walk all over a dirty floor, especially standing on the floor by the toilet, and then touch their feet on objects or other people. People attracted to feet have wanted to put my toes in their mouth before I had a chance to shower, and it completely kills the mood for me. Story 27. Getting in your bed with the same clothes you wore out in public or sat in public is unacceptable. Cannot do that. Putting your shoes on the bed is disgusting. AW. Story 28. Telling someone's weakness or pointing out low points as a conversation starter is inappropriate. For example, there was no need for my sister-in-law to tell our cousin's new bride that I sweat too much. I am not ashamed of it, but it was unnecessary to include this information in the conversation the day after the wedding. Similarly, telling my mother her hair is thinning or telling me I have too much acne is unkind. We already know that. Story 29. I am okay with a wide range of consensual adult interests within reason, including understanding what should remain fictional, respecting boundaries, and properly tagging explicit content so filters work effectively. However, the hypocrisy of people who consider feces-related content as unpleasant but view oral anal contact as normal and not related to feces is ironic. Story 30. Littering, such as tossing trash on the streets or leaving items behind, is something I personally find very unpleasant, even though many people seem fine with it. Story 31. Fast food commercials focus on the unappetizing burger, and it is even worse when they show someone taking a big bite. Story 32. Talking about your sex life with your partner to other people. I do not find it disgusting or repulsive, but I find it extremely odd and it feels like an invasion of privacy. Why do people do this? Story 33. Hitting other people's vapes or drinks, especially if they have a partner, because I know what you all are doing. Story 34. Eating contests. Pictures of babies with food all over their faces. Dr. Pimple Popper. Story 35. Pets walking on the kitchen counter is very unhygienic and unacceptable. Story 36. Openly and loudly belching seems to be increasing recently, and it is quite unpleasant. Story 37. Not washing your hands as soon as you get home is important. You must keep your home clean. Story 38. Discounting people, claiming that certain individuals do not matter or that their voices do not count. Story 39. Picking your nose while driving is visible to everyone around you. Story 40. Clearing the throat and spitting it out in the street, and sticking gum everywhere except in a bin. I appreciate this is not everyone or even most people, but both actions make me feel physically sick, and I cannot understand why anyone does either of these things. Story 41. People who only shower at night always smell like sweat. Story 42. Casual disrespect. One day, my younger coworkers were having fun making animal noises at each other. However, they were not getting their work done. My former manager told them to stop. One of them looked at her with a stupid grin, meowed at her, and then laughed about it. Story 43. Dogs, their slobber, their feces, their breath, their kisses. Why would you let a dog lick your face? Their smelly fur, almost everything about them. Story 44. Pet culture. Bring pets everywhere. I do not want your dog in a restaurant with me. Story 45. Body hair on both men and women weirds me out. I'm not sure why I have this phobia or what started it. I just do. Head hair is fine, eyebrows are fine, beards are okay if short, but not okay if long. Anything below the face is a no from me. Story 46. Only using toilet paper to clean yourself after using the restroom is not sufficient. It is recommended to use a bidet or cleansing wipes for better hygiene. Story 47. Blowing your nose at the dinner table sickens me. Please leave the table, blow your nose elsewhere, and then come back. Story 48. Using a toothpick at a restaurant in plain view of others. Story 49. Taking your dog outside in the store and then bringing it home while it sleeps in the same bed as you without cleaning it even once is unhygienic. Story 50. I have one that few other people share with me: wood pencils. The smell makes me physically ill. School was hell. I had to be seated as far away from the sharpener as possible. I cannot take my children shopping for supplies because I will either gag or vomit. A cracking headache is inevitable. I have an allergy to the type of cedar used in the majority of wood pencils, including eyeliner and lip liner. Contact dermatitis on your eye is no joke. The sound of pencil sharpeners makes my skin crawl. I know it is unusual, so I do not say anything unless absolutely necessary. Even then, some people think it is imaginary and act strangely to try to prove I am faking it. Also, ketchup. Ketchup is revolting. The taste, the smell, the color, all unpleasant. Story 51. Bananas. I think every aspect of them is disgusting. The smell, color, taste, shape, and the way you have to peel them. Repulsive. Story 52. Use saliva as lubricant. Do not spit in your hand and then try to apply it on me. That is unpleasant. Story 53. Babies like human babies. Everything is liquid and messy. No thanks. Think about it. They puke when they eat, poop frequently, pee all the time, have snot when they are sick, and spit when they do not want their bottle. Give me a time when they are potty trained and can handle solid food, and we are golden. Story 54. Dogs. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate dogs. They are just unpleasant. They have a strong odor, and the constant licking is disgusting. I also cannot stand barking. Story 55. Eating around other people, especially children, causes me to vomit explosively. I will actually stop eating the food they eat. My favorite food is pizza. I went 10 years without touching it because my brother and cousins kept receiving pizza in front of me. Every time I saw or smelled it, I thought of it being smushed and slobbered on by little kids, which made me nauseous. My family tested this by showing me old videos of myself from 9 months to 2 years old. One video showed me as a baby eating a sandwich. I barely made it to the bathroom and didn't eat for the next 24 hours. I also avoided bread for several weeks. I do not know why or how this started. There is less than a year between me and the other grandchildren. I was born in early 1995. My first cousin was born January 1st of 1996. The next couple of cousins in mid to late 1996, then early 1997, and so on until 2004 when the youngest was born. I was not the only child for several years before having these reactions to babies. I remember being 4 or 5 at my own birthday party and throwing my cake out because I saw one of my cousins eating it. It was ruined for me. I could not have birthday cake for years after that. Even then, I had to have a cake that was only mine. My mother would bake a personal cake of my choice for me to eat whenever I wanted, and she would buy a cheap store cake for pictures and to share at the party, which I did not like. Story 56. I will not let him kiss me if he has performed oral sex on me, but apparently I am the weird one for not wanting to taste myself. Story 57. Not covering your nose when you sneeze. Sometimes people just sneeze facing downwards instead of covering it. Story 58. I do not even want to type this. It is so gross eating boogers. Story 59. Sharing food from the same plate with someone other than a significant other is not comfortable for me. Some people do not have good oral hygiene or habits, and I do not want their fork or spoon double dipping in my food. Also, I do not want anything from your plate. Story 61. Sharing food, such as using your spoon to feed someone else, is something I cannot stand. 2. Tasting a dish with a spoon or ladle and then placing it back in the pot is unpleasant. Story 61. I used to love watching Last Vagabond, but since the children came along, I find it kind of creepy. Maybe I will get criticized, but I just do not feel comfortable with the children being in the video, which both parents seem to be so indifferent about. Story 62. Immaturity. It feels like nowadays adults think it is normal to act like 12-year-olds. Story 63. Being suddenly aware of my toes touching. I hate it. It makes my skin crawl. Story 64. Burping in public. As a barista, I cannot count how many times I have had grown men burp in my face. Story 65. Engaging in sexual activity, drug use, vaping, alcohol consumption, intimacy with another person, kissing, and making out. Story 66. Many people do the thing where they breathe in and then spit out mucus. I am going to jail for assault if someone does that too close to me. Story 67. I know all of Reddit agrees with me that lip smacking and other eating sounds are the absolute worst, but there seems to be a lot of public acceptance of it. Story 68. McDonald's. Whenever my boyfriend eats this, I can smell it on him, sweat, breath, clothes, for at least a day after. So unpleasant. No offense to any McDonald's lovers. I just have a heightened sense of smell, I guess. Story 69. The food sample tray at grocery stores. I know it's a me thing to a point. Story 70. Slurping soup, coffee, cereal, and similar foods. Those slurping and sucking sounds are some of the few things that can make me very angry. I get so annoyed, and that sound makes me want to vomit. Story 71. Wind. I really dislike wind. I get very uncomfortable when car windows are open. I cannot understand how people drive convertible cars. I also dislike air conditioning, fans, and heaters blowing directly at me. Story 72. Not washing their hands after using the bathroom or before handling food. Farting in public as if it is normal, and spitting on sidewalks or in public are unacceptable behaviors. Story 73. Having to play games to romance someone. Apparently, your actions reflecting your intent means you need to relax. Story 74. Belching. I actually cannot stand belching. I'm telling you, I couldn't care less if someone farted or even vomited, but belching, that's where they cross the line. Story 75. Posting photos of people who did not agree to be shown in such a vulnerable state. When my grandmother developed dementia, I joined a Facebook support group hoping to learn how to handle it. Instead, many people posted horrible photos of their relatives. One in particular made me leave the group. Someone posted a photo of their grandmother who could barely move and had lost most of her weight. She was skin and bones and literally looked like a corpse. It was shocking to me that someone would think, I love this person so much. Let's post a photo of them in their worst moments for strangers to see. I kindly asked if they really thought it was appropriate to post it and was attacked by other members. Suddenly, I was the insensitive one and a horrible person for even asking. They even claimed the grandmother agreed to this, even though she could not understand social media or communicate anymore, according to their own posts. My grandmother was an incredibly proud and strong woman who would have absolutely hated and despised me for something like that. I cannot imagine anyone in their right mind would wish this for themselves. Story 76. Sharing photos of your children on social media, often with their faces visible or half naked. Capturing every nice moment while looking at you with your phone out. Grabbing your phone every time they do something that is not remotely important. This behavior can harm their young minds, interests, and connections. Such actions are troubling. Story 77. Drinking straight from a tap or water fountain. I traveled to a few places where you could not drink the tap water as a kid, and it caused me to think that drinking tap water anywhere was unpleasant. I started asking for sparkling water to avoid situations where someone would give me tap water. It has gotten better to the point where I can drink a glass of tap water and happily fill my water bottle with it, but I still cannot drink directly from the tap. Story 78. Dogs being allowed in places serving food. I do not care if they are well behaved. Just stop. Service dogs are obviously not included here. Story 79. Someone who is known as a problematic man now claims to have transitioned with little effort and spends a lot of time in the women's bathroom. I understand that some people are struggling and want to transition, but I believe it can be a risky choice for others. Story 80. I have misophonia and cannot tolerate certain noises, such as people eating loudly, phone sounds, and the noise from handling plastic bags. Story 81. Passing gas in a shared space without any consideration is disrespectful. Please do not do that in front of me. Use the bathroom instead. Story 82. I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this, but sleeping with your pets is questionable. If my husband pooped outside, didn't wipe, and then tried to snuggle me naked, I would flip out. I'm not sure how it is better when you're cute and furry. Story 83. Anytime I see a question like this, almost everything gets mentioned. Basically, everything is repulsive. Story 84. Being unclothed in front of your parent of the opposite gender on the beach. Story 85. Eating meat. I do not mean to be preachy, but I see meat as mutilated, rotting corpses. Story 86. When people say they will check with their partner to see if they are busy when you ask them to hang out. Story 87. Just using toilet paper to clean skin after using the restroom. It is unclear why this country is so against using flushable wipes for this purpose. Story 88. Humans drinking animal milk. I am an omnivore and eat my share of slaughtered animals. However, the idea of drinking milk that contains small amounts of pus and blood squeezed from a teat makes me gag. I am impressed that it is still popular in the modern age. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.